Hi, everybody, and welcome to Cultivation with yours truly. My name is Cassie McLaren. I'm a psychic medium based out of Colorado, and today I'm bringing you a monthly recap for the month of May. So, we're just going to go over some of the astrological happenings and some of the energies that I kind of predicted beforehand, and then some of the things that I kind of integrated in hindsight, kind of going through and remembering the month and everything that had happened. So we started off the month with a new moon in Taurus. So this was kind of like the first spark or the beginning of um, kind of channeling Uranus's energy in Taurus. So Uranus is the archetype of intuitive flashes or divine inspiration or sudden change. Sudden change can be really chaotic as well. Um, and then Taurus is stability, pleasure, nature, money, or value, as well as beauty. So thinking about that, people have been subconsciously or consciously kind of planting really big seeds, like really big life changes that are kind of sudden, kind of chaotic, and very transformative. That's the other thing about Uranus as well. It's a very transformative archetype, and that's very active right now. And Taurus is really grounding that transformation. Um, for example, my parents are selling the house that they've had for like 15 or 16 years now and moving into an RV. So I don't really know how Christmas is gonna go. I think the place that I'm moving into will have plenty of room for them, but that's just like a small example. Um, on the 6th, the next thing that kind of happened, so that new moon was on the 4th in Taurus. Then on the 6th, we had Mercury going into um, Taurus, and then it went conjunct Uranus on the 8th. So a conjunct just kind of means that it's kind of like a good aspect, but there's a little bit of like work that needs to be put into it. Kind of like a trine, but less like it's less of like a lucky aspect. It's more of kind of like the two of them are kind of like by each other, and so there's a possibility for things to happen, and it could be good or it could go more of a um, you know, cantankerous way. I don't know why that's the word that came to me. But conjuncts are usually pretty fine. But this is kind of the Mercury and Taurus conjunct Uranus is the grounding or really wanting to ground these sudden ideas, just like I was talking about. Um, then we go to Venus going into Taurus on the 15th and Mars going into Cancer on the 16th. So Mars was in Gemini and Mars was in Gemini and Venus was in Aries prior to this. So Venus in Aries was not the sign she wanted to be in. Aries is kind of like Mars territory, very masculine, very into war, um, kind of rough, like not something that Venus really likes that much at all. Makes her very angry, which if you live in America, you might have noticed um, women kind of feeling this way or the feminine feeling this way. Um, then that Mars going from this really quick, really fast, like either this or that Gemini aspect, this really mental aspect, going into Cancer, which is just instead of the head, now it's in the heart. So your action, Mars being action, kind of being guided by emotions rather than this more logical thinking. So at least for me, I have not posted a video in the past 2 weeks because I have just been like having a very difficult time and very much just kind of getting into wherever I am emotionally at the time and having that kind of determine my action. And as well with the sun being in Taurus up until just recently, um, it's it's been um, it's been very easy to just kind of not do work and give into some of the more depressive aspects, especially just because personally, um, we're having a lot going on with Capricorn and Pluto right now, or sorry, Saturn and Pluto. So Capricorn and Scorpio right now, which is kind of like what I'm ruled by. But also Pluto and Saturn are retrograde in Capricorn right now. So that makes it a pretty heavy hitter for my chart personally. So if you have any of that going on in your chart, a lot of Scorpio or Capricorn, you might be feeling this as well. So lots of release there, at least for me, but the softening, slower, like I said, moodier actions, and also I've noticed like a sense of kind of grounding love that was maybe just a fling before, or kind of deciding on what you want to do with a relationship, whether you want to keep it a fling, whether you want to commit or recommit, things of that nature. Which, yeah, so that's just another thing that's kind of been this benefit of Venus going into Taurus and Mars going into Cancer, which happened right in the middle of the month. Then we had a full moon in Scorpio on the 18th, which was basically a lot of really powerful cannot speak manifestations around other people's money, inheritances, realization of secrets, uh, things of that nature. So I noticed that in a lot of people's lives, these these things that they wanted, these manifestations, especially around money, either kind of came to them or did not come to them. Or I guess it didn't have to just be about money. Scorpio is also very occult and very into power. So even just like business deals that some people were thinking about going through, some of them totally went through and went totally better than planned, and some of them really were the opposite of that. Um, but there were also some weird elements because, again, we have a lot of that Uranus energy in the sky right now. So that's basically what's up with the astrology for the month. Energetically, um, what I kind of predicted for this month in April was surrender and balance, which I feel were pretty true in a lot of aspects. I feel like there have been people, and myself included, that have been kind of fighting against the current or struggling, um, especially about like worrying about the future and really not knowing what's going to happen, but needing to kind of just go into this river of life, or like literally just go with the flow, in order to get things moving, in order to go to where they need to be going, which they're going to be pushed that way anyway. But there's a lot of that feeling of surrender, and then with that kind of comes balance in a lot of ways. In my own life, I've noticed I've been treating myself a lot more without guilt, which Taurus season, but um, also the sense of like balance, balancing pain with pleasure, we'll say. Like I said, I'm having a lot of stuff, like I'm having a lot of growth right now. Let's just say that. I'm having a ton of growth right now. And so um, I think my medication is not working any longer, and I'm going to see if I can like not be clinically depressed without it, safely. Don't worry, I'm like safely weaning off. But that's like a new thing that's happening. Um, and that has brought for me personally a lot of pain, emotional and mental anguish, I would say. Um, yeah. So I've been balancing that out, really surrendering to that instead of like being really angry about being alive to the point of wanting to not be there. Um, Instead of that, I'm kind of surrendering to life and being like, okay, I will be here. And then finding that balance through, I don't know, like allowing myself to take a bath, but also trying to find a new job that is going to nurture my soul. Um, Buying myself frozen yogurt, but also trying, making plans to get back into regularly healing my community and doing readings for my community because about 6 months ago, I was doing healings and readings for my community 2 to 3 times a week, sometimes more. So that was a very regular thing for me, and things have changed in my life and shifted a lot. So I'm trying to get back to that. But that's kind of the energy that I found. A lot of people are kind of seeding this big change, whether it be these ideas that they're having about how their life can change. Um, Politically, people kind of trying to see seeds of change there. Um, that can be an entire, I mean, that is, I don't want to get too much into that. Um, if you've been feeling a lot of anxiety or a lot of presence, I've been seeing this dichotomy between people where a lot of people have had very high anxiety about the future, and then there's like other people that are like, hey, yeah, there's some uncertainty for me, but there's no anxiety there. There's almost a sense of um, I'm really staying present, and I know that it's going to be okay, and I know that I'm going to take the steps I need to when I need to. So that's like a really interesting thing that I've been noticing, and I'm definitely um, despite dealing with mental health in other ways, which if you've ever been on antidepressants, you know, um, shout out to all my depressed folks out there. You can be depressed and you can also be spiritual. You can be depressed and you can also be psychic. It's fine. Don't out yourself. Um, Anyways, I forgot what I was gonna say. I was gonna say something about medication and antidepressants, but um, oh yeah, despite having my sadness, I haven't had a lot of anxiety, but I've had a lot of sadness, and despite my sadness, I've still kind of found presence through that. So, that is, that's my recommendation to you if you're feeling a little bit of that anxiety, just really finding something to put you in the present. So, anyway, this video is too high. This video is too long. I do have music recommendations, which I was going to say. The first album on my list is called High by Royal Headache. Um, that's just like my favorite album that I slept on it for a long time and then I stopped sleeping on it because my roommate is playing it, often, and I like it a lot. And so High by Royal Headache, really sweet album. Um, Kind of like punk rocky, but kind of like 50s cool. Um, I don't even know if I hate describing music because I feel like it's hard to describe it. Um, Weatherbox also, I found that they have a couple new songs. That's a band I was really into in high school, and they have a song called Hood Up in the Sunshine. Very into that. And then Chester Watson has an album called Past Cloaks that I found out and was actually recommended to me from by one of my buddies, and I just slept on that as well. But it's really good. That's a rap album. Anyways, um, thanks for stopping by. If anybody watches these things, I hope that you guys are doing okay and weathering every storm. See you around.